What's going on is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Breaking news. This is basically all across the internet right now, so I'm just going to give you all my thoughts really quickly. Evan and then Paul Whelan was released or is being released in a prisoner swap. And Turkey is one of the people that actually helped broker the deal between the United States of America, Russia, and other countries. And it's coming out to where it's one of the biggest post-prisoner swaps in history. And the reason that I say post is because a lot of you guys have to remember that Brittany Griner was actually exchanged for the Russian merchant of death, which myself, and all of America was all complaining outside of the LGBTQ community that it was a bad deal. There's no way in the world that we should have left Paul Whelan and Evan Gershkovich, let me make sure that I say that right, Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan over in Russia, and we exchanged the Russian merchant of death over there for Brittany Griner. But let me go ahead and play this video to basically give y'all some insight on what's being reported on the news, and then I'm going to come back and give you my thoughts as a result of it.
On the air because there's breaking news. We're getting word of potentially a massive prisoner exchange between the U.S. and Russia and possibly other countries that would involve Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan. They are expected soon to be in U.S. custody. Let's get right to our Chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, who has the latest. And Mary, I know this is a very fluid situation, but what can you tell us?
This is absolutely fluid and still developing. I can tell you what we do know right now is that after months and years of negotiations, we are told by a senior administration official that a prisoner transfer has been agreed to that does include the Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich and the former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan. We have also been told that they are expected to soon be in U.S. custody. Of course, we know this is something that this White House has been working on for a long time behind the scenes. Evan Gershkovich has been detained since March 2023 on those spy charges that he, the Wall Street Journal, and the U.S. all fiercely deny and say was a complete sham. He was sentenced, just last month to 16 years in a penal colony after that secret 3-day trial with absolutely no proof. And of course, Paul Whelan is that former U.S. Marine. He's been held for over 5.5 years. He's actually been left out of previous deals as the U.S. brought home other wrongfully detained Americans. The hope here is that he too is.
Notice how ABC News will say, and they brought home other wrongfully detained Americans. No. Nope, we're not just going to skip over that and see. I'm reacting to this in real time, and it wasn't other wrongfully detained Americans. In this case, Brittany Griner, who has been over here enjoying life, having babies, declaring herself to be a father, was exchanged for the Russian merchant of death. She was found with stuff that she wasn't supposed to have on her journey over there in order to make more money as a result of playing overseas outside of the WNBA. And they don't want to say it out loud. I don't know if they're going to say it out loud. Let me see what they got to say. Let me see what they're going to say in the rest of this.
Now going to be coming home with.
And Mary, we know that.
Nope, she didn't say it. And so they say other wrongfully detained because they don't want to take accountability for the fact that it's biased reporting. I'm going to just be real. It's biased reporting. And even in breaking news, we're still getting biased reporting when it comes to identifying the failures of the administration. Now, I'm going to reserve judgment on this until I find out exactly what the deal is. So, again, this is breaking news, and they're saying that it's a prisoner exchange swap. It is a multi-country deal that is helped being brokered by Turkey. And let me see what the rest of they got to say, and then we're going to go into the reports.
Remember when Brittany Griner was released and was able to come back to the U.S.? That was in 2022. And those discussions really picked up since then with regards to Paul Whelan and then later Evan Gershkovich. What more do we know about those conversations behind the scenes between the U.S. and Russia and the other countries that perhaps could be involved in this?
Yeah, I suspect this is something that does involve many of our allies as well. But as you said, this has been an incredibly long time coming. This is something that we have heard the president speak out forcefully about, speaking out in defense, of course, of Evan and of Paul Whelan. So I suspect that this has taken a lot of tense negotiations behind the scenes. We don't know the details yet of what went into this, but we can report right now that Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan, according to a senior administration official, are part of this prison transfer and are expected to be soon, they hope, in U.S. custody.
So In other news, and I've been mining through the different articles, including Bloomberg, but they basically saying it's the biggest prisoner swap in post-Soviet history on Thursday, with Moscow releasing journalists Evan and Paul in a multinational deal that set some 24 people free, according to officials in Turkey, where the exchange took place. It goes on to say a court in a Russian city convicted Gershkovich of espionage last month, sentenced him to 16 years in prison in a case that the U.S. called politically motivated. In 2020, Whelan was also convicted of espionage and sentenced to 16 years in prison. The trade followed years of secretive back-channel negotiations, despite relations between Washington and Moscow being at their lowest point since the Cold War after Russian President Vladimir Putin's February 2022 invasion of Ukraine. Now, can I give my theory? Can I give my theory as to what really is going on and how things are playing out? And again, it's just my theory, it's just my opinion. But I'm going to give you what it is that I think is happening, and then you guys could mine it out for yourself. So I believe that this is a strategy. This is a strategy by Russia to weaken and play election interference. Let me say it again. I believe that this is a strategy by Russia to one-up America, and then America is taking the bait, the Biden administration is taking the bait, because it would then posture and make it seem as though America is much stronger than it really is. And again, I'm a reserved judgment, but I believe that this is a posture by Russia to ultimately weaken America because they do not want Trump in office. The worst thing that could possibly happen as far as making sure that we stand up to the things and get out of these wars and ultimately do the best thing for America is for Trump to get in office. We've all heard the stories. We've heard the stories how Trump is a tough negotiator, how when he go over to other leaders, when he was talking about pulling everybody out of Afghanistan, ultimately he had a picture of one of the leaders' houses and then was willing to blow it up and all of this stuff. But honestly, and it's a long shot, but I think that it's true. I think that it's true. And again, we're going to have to find out exactly what the prisoner swap was. Because if you look at what the previous prisoner swap was, it was Brittany Griner for the Russian merchant of death. And they left Paul Whelan over there. And they left Paul over there. And it was largely considered the worst trade in history. But it wasn't an election year. It was not an election year. But now it seems to be a little bit more fair that could work in the Biden administration's favor, especially if it comes to a upcoming debate to where they can use that as one of their trump cards to say, look, this is what we do, this is how we get tough, and we want this to go in our favor, because everything from a political perspective, from policy, is actually very, very bad. And so now, in my opinion, if I'm Russia, if I'm playing this, then okay, political year, election interference, Trump is winning in the polls, Harris is not really being embraced from a policy perspective, Biden dropped out. What do we want to do? We want to make sure that we go through these back channels through Turkey, let them help them broker this deal, get these prisoner swaps, get them some victories less than 96 days before the election, and then they can look good, and maybe that'll help influence people to vote a certain type of way, because this is technically breaking news. It's a theory. It's my theory. It's my long shot. It's what I believe is playing out. But again, I'm going to reserve judgment until I ultimately see exactly who it is and what it is that they're swapping for, to see if this is even a remotely fair deal at all. Of course, I do not want to see Americans on foreign soil serving 16 years and being political prisoners. U.S. Marines and Wall Street journalists that's being accused of things that they didn't commit, spying and all of this stuff. And then on top of that, I'm sure Russia is not looking to leave any Russian on American soil or in any foreign land or any country. But I want to see what the prisoner swap is. We definitely going to be tackling this on the Millionaire Morning Show in the morning. I love you. I appreciate y'all. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Best time to join the Patreon is the beginning of the month. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to holler at y'all later. Peace.